There's a moment that happens in almost every Toyota service visit, and most owners don't realize it's the turning point. Your car is running fine. No warning lights, no noises, no leaks. You came in for something simple, maybe an oil change or a tire rotation. And then the estimate comes back longer than expected. Suddenly, you're being told your Toyota needs several additional services. Not because something is broken, but because the system says it's time. The language is calm, professional, and reassuring. Nothing sounds aggressive, nothing sounds dishonest. And that's exactly why it works. Toyota service centers don't usually push repairs when something is clearly wrong. They push services when nothing is wrong. That's where the profit lives. I've seen this pattern repeat itself for years. Owners walk in with perfectly healthy Toyotas and walk out having approved multiple services that didn't improve performance, didn't extend lifespan, and didn't prevent a single real problem. The car drives exactly the same afterward. The only thing that changes is how much money left their account. Before we go further, let me pause briefly. If you've ever picked up your Toyota from a service visit and thought, "I'm not even sure what I just paid for," tap the like button. Subscribe if you want straight answers without fear tactics. And if a service advisor ever recommended work even though your car felt perfectly fine, tell me what they pushed in the comments. I see every comment, and those real experiences help other owners recognize the pattern earlier. The first service that gets pushed constantly when nothing is wrong is routine fuel system or injector cleaning. It sounds technical and preventative, which makes it hard to question. Advisors talk about carbon buildup, efficiency loss, and long-term protection. But modern Toyota engines are designed to run clean for a very long time without intervention. Unless a Toyota is misfiring, idling rough, or showing a clear drivability issue, fuel system cleaning does almost nothing. I've watched owners approve this service repeatedly every 30 or 40,000 miles, expecting smoother performance, only to notice no difference at all. The engine wasn't dirty to begin with. It was just profitable to say it might be. The second service that shows up constantly is throttle body cleaning, sold as routine maintenance. Again, the explanation sounds reasonable. Airflow, carbon buildup, smooth idle. But here's the reality. If your Toyota idles smoothly, accelerates normally, and doesn't stall, the throttle body does not need attention just because the odometer hit a certain number. I've inspected throttle bodies on Toyotas with over 200,000 miles that were still well within normal condition. Cleaning them early doesn't extend engine life. It just adds cost and introduces risk by disturbing components that were functioning properly. Another service that gets pushed aggressively when nothing is wrong is brake fluid replacement on a fixed schedule. This one is almost always framed as a safety issue, which makes owners nervous. No one wants to compromise braking performance. But brake fluid condition depends on moisture exposure and environment, not mileage alone. A Toyota driven gently, stored in a garage and not exposed to extreme conditions can go far longer than service menus suggest. I've tested brake fluid on older Toyotas that still met specifications long after the recommended interval had passed. Replacing brake fluid early doesn't make the car safer if the fluid is already in good condition, it just makes the invoice larger. Yet many owners approve this service repeatedly because it's bundled into maintenance packages and presented as non-negotiable. The fourth service that service centers love to push is early coolant replacement. Advisors often talk about corrosion, overheating, and internal damage, even when the cooling system is working perfectly. Toyota long-life coolant is engineered to last a very long time. In many cases, the system is better left alone unless there's contamination, overheating, or a leak. I've seen Toyotas develop cooling system leaks shortly after unnecessary flushes simply because seals and hoses that had aged comfortably were disturbed. Nothing was wrong until something was done. That's not preventive maintenance, that's intervention without cause. The fifth service that appears constantly when nothing is wrong is automatic transmission service, sold as urgent prevention. This one causes more anxiety than almost any other recommendation. Transmission problems sound catastrophic and expensive, which makes owners quick to approve anything labeled as protective. But many Toyota transmissions are designed for long intervals or simple drain and fill procedures only when conditions warrant it. Aggressive flushes, especially on older or high-mileage vehicles that shift normally, can do more harm than good. I've seen perfectly smooth transmissions start slipping shortly after unnecessary flushes. Service centers often rely on fear here, not evidence. If a Toyota shifts cleanly, doesn't slip, and shows no warning signs, rushing into transmission service just because a schedule says so is rarely beneficial. What connects all 5 of these services is not that they're inherently evil or always wrong, it's that they're sold based on timing, not condition. They're recommended because the system expects them to be approved, not because the car asked for them. Toyota engineers didn't design these vehicles to need constant intervention. They designed them to be stable, predictable, and tolerant of time. When you interfere too often, even with good intentions, you shorten that stability window. I've noticed something important over the years. The Toyotas that last the longest usually belong to owners who say no more often than they say yes. Not because they're cheap, but because they understand that unnecessary work creates unnecessary risk. These owners wait for symptoms. They listen for changes. They watch behavior. They don't let a menu or a tablet decide what their car needs next. And that mindset alone is often the difference between a Toyota that quietly reaches 300,000 or 400,000 miles and one that starts developing expensive issues far earlier than expected. Once you understand that service centers push hardest when nothing is wrong, the next realization usually hits a little harder. These services aren't being recommended randomly. They're being bundled, timed, and framed in ways that make them feel unavoidable. This is where many Toyota owners lose the most money without realizing it. After years of watching service departments operate, I can tell you that most unnecessary services don't get sold on their own. They get sold together. The moment you approve one item, the rest slide in quietly beside it. The advisor doesn't ask, "Do you want this?" They say, "We're already doing this, so it makes sense to do the rest." That language matters. One common example is the oil change visit that turns into a full maintenance package. You came in for oil, but suddenly there's injector cleaning, throttle body service, brake fluid replacement, and coolant service all presented as part of responsible ownership. None of them sound urgent on their own, but together they feel logical, even smart. I've watched owners approve packages worth $600 or $700 simply because each line item sounded small and reasonable. The car drove the same afterward. No improvement, no new smoothness, just a much larger invoice. Another tactic that shows up constantly is mileage-based fear framing. Once a Toyota passes certain round numbers, especially 60,000 or 100,000 miles, the recommendations intensify. Advisors use phrases like "this is when we start seeing issues" or "this is critical at this mileage." What they rarely explain is that Toyota engines, transmissions, and cooling systems don't age on a stopwatch. They age based on use, heat cycles, and conditions. A gently driven Camry that lives on the highway ages very differently than a vehicle that tows, idles constantly, or sees extreme heat. But service menus don't account for that. They're built for averages, not individual cars. I once worked with a Corolla owner who followed every service recommendation perfectly. Oil changes early, every flush approved, every add-on accepted. By 150,000 miles, the car had more leaks and wear than another Corolla I serviced with twice the mileage that had far less intervention. The difference wasn't neglect, it was restraint. Another quiet pressure point is the way service advisors present future problems. They'll say things like, "This isn't an emergency yet, but if you wait, it could turn into one." That statement is almost impossible to argue with emotionally, even when it lacks evidence. The truth is, real problems announce themselves. They make noise. They trigger warning lights. They change how the car behaves. Toyota didn't build vehicles that fail silently without warning in normal conditions. When a service recommendation can't be tied to a symptom, measurement, or behavior change, it deserves skepticism, not approval. There's also something important to understand about incentives. Service advisors are not paid to keep your Toyota healthy long-term. They're paid to sell services now. That doesn't make them dishonest people, but it does shape what gets recommended and how urgently it's framed. I've spoken with former dealership advisors who openly admit there were monthly targets. If those targets weren't met, pressure came from above, and the easiest way to hit those numbers was to sell bundled maintenance to owners whose cars weren't actively failing. That's why Toyotas that run perfectly often receive the longest estimates. Another thing many owners don't realize is how rarely these services are reevaluated once they start. If you approve a brake fluid service once, it becomes easier to approve it again next visit. If you agree to injector cleaning early, it shows up as previously recommended later, which makes it feel validated. That's how unnecessary maintenance becomes habitual. The owners who avoid this trap tend to share one behavior. They ask one calm, simple question before approving anything: What problem does this fix right now? If the answer isn't specific, measurable, or tied to a symptom, they pause. Pausing changes everything. It forces the advisor to explain instead of reassure. It slows the pace. And it often reveals that the service was suggested because it's routine, not because it's needed. Toyota reliability has always been built on consistency, not constant intervention. Engines settle. Seals condition. Systems stabilize. When you disturb that rhythm repeatedly without cause, you shorten the very lifespan you're trying to protect. The irony is that the owners who spend the least on maintenance over time are often the ones with the longest-lasting Toyotas. They don't skip oil changes. They don't ignore real problems. They simply don't pay for work their car didn't ask for. Once you recognize how bundling, mileage fear, and habit-based recommendations work together, it becomes much easier to spot the pattern. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because the moment you stop approving services just because they're due, you regain control of the entire ownership experience. And that's when Toyota ownership starts feeling simple again, the way it was always meant to be. By the time most Toyota owners realize how often unnecessary services are being pushed, they've already spent thousands they didn't need to. And what's frustrating is that nothing ever felt wrong in the moment. The car ran fine, the recommendations sounded reasonable, the paperwork looked official. That's exactly why this system works so well. The final layer most people miss is how these services quietly change the way owners think about their own vehicles. Once you've been told repeatedly that your Toyota is at a critical mileage, you stop trusting how the car actually feels. You start deferring to screens, checklists, and advisor language instead of your own experience. Even when the car drives smoothly, stops confidently, and shows no warning lights, doubt creeps in. That doubt is expensive. I've seen owners bring in Toyotas that were genuinely some of the healthiest vehicles on the road. Smooth idle, clean shifts, no leaks, no noises, and yet they approved long lists of services simply because the recommendations were framed as preventative and responsible. Months later, when minor issues appeared, they assumed it was normal aging. They never connected it to the repeated disturbances the car never needed in the first place. Toyota didn't build these vehicles to be constantly reset. They built them to age gradually. When fluids are replaced early, systems are flushed aggressively, and components are disturbed without cause, wear accelerates in subtle ways that don't show up immediately. That's why unnecessary maintenance is so dangerous. It doesn't break the car today, it shortens the calm years. The owners who get the longest life out of their Toyotas almost always follow the same philosophy. They respond to symptoms, not suggestions. They maintain based on condition, not fear. And they understand that stability matters more than activity. One longtime Highlander owner I spoke with summed it up perfectly. He said the best thing he ever did for his Toyota was stop trying to stay ahead of it. He followed the factory schedule, ignored add-ons, and only approved repairs when something actually changed. That Highlander crossed 300,000 miles with fewer issues than many vehicles half its age. That's not luck. That's restraint. Service centers don't talk about restraint because it doesn't generate revenue. They talk about prevention, protection, and peace of mind. Those words sound comforting, but they're rarely tied to mechanical necessity. And once you learn to separate comfort language from mechanical reality, everything shifts. Instead of asking, "Is this recommended?" you start asking, "What changed?" Instead of asking, "Is this normal at this mileage?" you ask, "What's the symptom?" Those questions don't make you difficult. They make you informed. Toyota ownership was never meant to feel stressful. These vehicles were engineered to be predictable, forgiving, and durable. When ownership starts to feel complicated or expensive without explanation, something has gone off track. That's usually not the car. It's the process around it. If this breakdown is helping you see the service department differently, take a moment to tap the like button. It helps this video reach other Toyota owners who are quietly dealing with the same pressure. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do that now. This channel is about long-term ownership clarity, not dealership fear tactics. I also want to hear from you. What's a service you've been repeatedly told is due even though your Toyota feels perfectly fine? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and those real experiences help other owners trust their instincts. Here's the most important takeaway to carry forward. A Toyota that is running well does not need to be fixed. It needs to be observed, maintained, left alone unless it gives you a reason not to. The moment you stop treating maintenance like a checklist and start treating it like a conversation with the vehicle, costs drop and confidence returns. Toyota didn't earn its reputation by needing constant intervention, it earned it by lasting when left to do what it was designed to do. And when you let it do that, ownership becomes quiet again. Predictable, affordable, and surprisingly stress-free. That's how these cars were meant to be driven.